I'm Jennifer. Welcome to Orton-Gillingham Coaching. Today, let's continue our talk on VCCV, vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel, syllable division. VCCV is the overall syllable division pattern, and we've already talked about the sub-patterns of rabbit, reptile, candy. Today, we'll talk about hornet words. Let's remember that syllable division is the breaking down of multi-syllabic words into smaller, more digestible parts. We break those apart according to rules, and then we label those syllables with our Revloc system of syllable types, so that there's rules to breaking the word. In VCCV, we break it between the two C's, and then there's rules to reading the syllable type. So it gives students a reason to do everything they're doing. Hornet words are the fourth pattern taught in our VCCV overall pattern. You've already taught rabbit, reptile, and candy words. Those are here, and hornet words are here on our scope and sequence. And the reason why is because the hornet is later, is because after you teach these three, you move on to teaching R-controlled vowels and R-controlled syllables, and then you're practicing dividing the words, and you'll get one closed syllable and one R-controlled syllable for hornet words. Let's divide some VCCV hornet words. First, your students will need to know what a consonant and vowel are. They will need to know what a syllable is. And they also will need to know there are R-controlled vowels and R-controlled syllable types. Let's go through the steps of dividing a VCCV hornet word. Step 1, we underline our vowels. Step 2, we label starting with the first vowel, V, C, C, V. Step 3, the rule for dividing a VCCV word is to divide between the two C's. Step 4, we see that according to our Revloc system of labeling, there's R-controlled vowel here. R is controlling the O, so that is an R. We label, step 4. The T is closing in the E for a closed syllable. So step 4, we're labeling our syllables. Step 5, we're going to read each syllable slowly, then read it quickly. Hornet, hornet, hornet. So your student just read hornet. Moving to the second one, we'll do the same thing. Underline our vowels, label V, C, C, V, divide between the two C's. R is controlling the A for an R-controlled vowel, N closing in I for a closed syllable. So now we have Marlin, Marlin, Marlin. Third example is a little trickier because we have our R-controlled at the end, not the beginning, but it's still a hornet word. So we're going to underline our vowels. We're going to start V, C, C, V, labeling. We're going to divide between the two C's. Student sees U, M closing in the U for a closed syllable, R controlling the E for an R-controlled syllable, and now student reads lumber, lumber, lumber. Let's divide some more words with R-controlled syllables. First, this is a hornet word. It's a little trickier because it does not have the consonant at the front, but you would do the same thing. Underline your vowels, begin with the first vowel, V, C, C, V, divide between the two consonants, and notice that the R is, by our Revloc, is controlling the O for an R-controlled syllable. The T is closing in the I for a closed syllable. Now your student reads orbit, orbit, orbit. These next three words are, I wouldn't call them hornet words, but they are syllable division more advanced with R-controlled vowels in it. So once you get past teaching all these hornet words, these are some things you could mix in, because you've already taught, by the time you get to these R-controlled syllables, you have taught your magic E, you've taught your closed magic E, you've taught Y, candy words, that Y says E at the end of a word. So now we're just incorporating some words that have all these syllable types in them with the R-control. But you do the same thing. Underline your vowels. Label V, C, C, V. These are all still VCCV words. Divide between the two C's. R controlling A, R controlled. R controlling O, R controlled. Your student now reads harbor, harbor, harbor. and they could read harbor. This is an example with R-controlled and magic E. So we still underline our vowels, treat it the same. Underline our vowels. Start with VCCV, syllable division rule, divide between the two C's. Your student sees that R is controlling the U for R-controlled, and we have our magic E controlling the I, makes the I say its name for a magic E syllable. Student now reads turbine, turbine, turbine. Next word, we have our Y here. So we're going to still underline our vowels. Start with VCCV, labeling with the first vowel. Divide between the two consonants. R controlling A for R controlled. At this point, your student will have had open syllables. You could still just say Y at the end makes an E sound, and we know that. But a student could also label open because this Y is a vowel. So we have, but they have to realize that it's a candy word and that, this is saying E at the end. But read R controlling tardy, tardy, tardy. These are all advanced words, but it is showing you what the future looks like once you have your cumulative and your building. These are still VCCV words. It's not sticking to a pattern like rabbit, reptile, candy, or hornet. It's mixing them all together, and it's cumulative. And so this is what the future looks like when you're teaching syllable division in VCCV pattern. Let's go through some activities to do with students to practice Hornet words. This is a packet that I have on my website, and there's one for all 4 division patterns. First, we would have students go through and divide words. They would underline the vowels, divide between the two C's, label each syllable, read each syllable slowly, then fast. So first activity with answer sheet. We want to make sure we get in our 3-prong approach, our auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. So we want to make sure and do dictation. These are words for dictation, sentences, phrases, and your student can also read the sentences and read the words or divide the words, but this is meant for dictation. We want to use nonsense words to make sure students are understanding the syllable division between the two C's, the VCCV, and that they are understanding R-controlled vowels and how to read these words. They might memorize words. So nonsense words are a great way to make sure they're understanding. This is a sheet on that. We want to make sure to start incorporating rabbit words, reptile words, and candy words with our Hornet words once they've mastered just Hornet. We want to have students writing sentences with Hornet words. Then they can go back and underline their Hornet words or highlight them and read them out loud. Read the sentence, read the words. We want our students reading passages and stories with Hornet words in them. This is the beginning and this is advanced. As a final word, Hornet words are have more difficulty, and they're a little farther down in our scope and sequence. However, students have been dividing VCCV words. Before you even get to Hornet words, you're going to use your 3-prong approach and with your auditory, visual, and kinesthetic, and you're going to thoroughly teach them R-controlled vowels and then R-controlled syllables. By this point, they've even also covered open syllables and long vowels. So they're getting a grasp on how vowels are affected by this R. Now, because Orton-Gillingham is cumulative, each lesson is building upon the next. Now they're applying their R-controlled knowledge to multi-syllabic words. They're breaking between the two C's as they've been taught, and they can read this closed syllable pretty easy, and then the R-controlled syllable, and putting them together. This is all putting into action the things they've already learned. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you'll like and subscribe and visit the workbook store.